Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
And the Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!
Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to the Party on Broad podcast. POB can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Smash that subscribe button, guys, if you guys are watching us here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Today, we are talking about Killian Hayes, one of the top point guard prospects in the NBA draft. And joining me today is my man, Austin. Follow him on Twitter at KrellTPL. Check out his amazing Jimmy Buckets tweets on his Twitter channel. And check out the B2MB podcast, covers the Sixers and the NBA. How you doing, Austin?
Not bad. I just secured I'm gonna be like a weekly correspondent for Prince Blue for his podcast for the Sixers. So I'll be hopping on there every week.
Yeah, buddy.
He has 5,000 followers, so that'll be a good hit. And then just enjoying life, enjoying making Heat fans angry. It's you know what it is. It's gonna be my LinkedIn bio, like like activities qualified at like pissing Heat fans off, and I guarantee you they're gonna find this podcast. Don't say anything incriminating, by the way.
Love it. All right. Also joining us today is my man Thiago. Follow him on Twitter at tscabbia. What's going on, dude?
Great, man. First of all, thanks for having me, and awesome.
Voice.
Congratulations on your podcast. I will always defend you when it comes to Jimmy Butler and the Heat. So yes, I'll defend you 100%. Any takes that you have, just send them my way, and I'll get your back, because I feel the pain when it comes to Heat fans and their love for Jimmy Butler. So,
all right, guys, we are like, oh my gosh, I think we're on our 15th scouting report podcast here. So if you want to check out the full breakdown of Killian Hayes, check out thepaintedlines.com. Check out us on Twitter at BlueRootTPL. So much content out there with the NBA draft. And today we are talking about Mr. Killian Hayes. We're going to talk kind of who he is, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, and we're gonna do a roundtable of the best fits in the NBA draft. I wrote this article. I'll lead us off. Let's talk a little bit about who Killian Hayes is. Let's start off with some fun facts. He learned the game of basketball watching his man on YouTube, Dwayne Wade. His father, Deron Hayes, is actually a very good basketball player. He was a local boy playing at Penn State University during the early 90s. That's kind of cool. He's one of the youngest prospects in this draft class. He will not turn 19 years old until this month. It is currently July of 2020. He's a lefty, and there's not enough lefties in the NBA, period. I love watching a good lefty play in the NBA. So Killian Hayes was born in Lakeland, Florida. His father, Deron Hayes, was a professional basketball player in the NBA before he continued his career over in Europe. Rather than go to college in the United States, Killian stayed in France, where he played professional basketball for 3 years between 2016 and 2019. And that's kind of like the first gist of watching a guy like Killian Hayes, because when you watch the tape, it's not a guy at all that you would think is that young. He's got a lot of maturity to his game. He's got a lot of development in his game for being so young. So that's what immediately sticks out. He may be 18, but his game does not reflect it whatsoever. In August 2019, he signed a 3-year contract with the BBL and showed tons of flashes, especially during 10 Euro Cup games. He averaged 12.8 points, 6.2 assists per game. And during that time, he just showed that he's a playmaker. He can lead an offense. He showed tons of flashes as the primary ball handler. And that's, kind of the gist of who Killian Hayes is. This is clearly a very high projected pick in this year's draft. Let's talk a little bit about Killian Hayes' strengths. Lead us off, Thiago.
Yes. So first of all, I didn't know about the Penn State thing you mentioned, and as a Penn State alum, I'm kind of bummed that we couldn't recruit him, because we could actually use Killian Hayes once in our sad basketball journey here. But when I think of Killian Hayes, for me, the first thing that stands out is probably one of the best passers in this class, if not the best passer in the class. He's always looking for to set up his teammates in very advantageous positions. And he does it in a variety of different ways. He does it out of the pick and roll. He does it out of transition. He does it out of isolation. So if you are playing with Killian Hayes, for me, I think that you are excited because you're probably going to get the ball either on the wing wide open or as a rim runner towards the basket. So for me, that was one of the things that really stood out watching his game. He's super smooth. He's very, very talented when it comes to, handling the basketball. And I think if you're a team looking to, for a point guard, more of a traditional point guard, he's possibly that guy for sure.
What about you, Austin?
Everyone I've interacted with is very, very, big on Killian Hayes. I like him a lot. I think he has a very, very tricky sort of deceptive way of playing. Not easy to stay in front of. He gets low. I like the lefty in him, like you said. And I see a lot of almost a Darren Williams in him.
Nice. Great player.
Yeah, to Austin's point, like I see a little bit, and I'm ready to crush for this, but I don't care. Like a little bit of like James Harden to him. I'm not saying he's going to.
Wow, step back. He does.
I am not going to say he's going to be James Harden because James Harden obviously is one of the most talented isolation scorers to ever play the game. But he's tremendously wiggy. He has a lot of wiggle to his handle, and I think that if he builds up his strength and builds up that on-ball scoring, for me, he has tremendous upside as an NBA player.
Yeah, man. We're all Sixers fans here, and this guy screams to me a guy that I would have been fully in love with, like if this was like 2013, and watch this guy, develop with the Philadelphia 76ers. Some other strengths, he's got great size, 6'5", 215 pounds, 6'9" wingspan. So clearly he has very good size for the point guard spot. And that's kind of what makes him that potential matchup nightmare in the NBA. You saw repeatedly during his tape that he knows how to use his body too. And that's kind of my other strength, is something you should know about Killian Hayes is the majority of his offense is getting into the paint and scoring around the rim. And he's just got one of the best floaters and runners I've seen in this draft class. He definitely needs to improve finishing through contact, but that's kind of what you need to know, is that he's very good with his handle at getting into the paint, penetrating into the paint, and that's, he's a very good scorer off the dribble, and he's shown rapid improvement in this. So just a really, really interesting prospect. Let's move on to weaknesses. I'll lead us off. Obviously, he needs to improve his outside shooting. He's very good at the free throw line. So, that's something that translates 87.6% from the free throw line in 24.8 minutes per game. But the problem is he's not that good from three-point range. He doesn't have much range, 29.4% on 3.1 attempts per game from three-point range. And over the last 3 seasons combined, 32 of 117 three-point attempts, 27%. So, Sixers fans should know best about three-point shooting in the point guard position. That's obviously the biggest area that he needs to improve moving forward. And also his shot selection. You mentioned the step backs, the James Harden. He kind of falls in love with that a little bit too much, takes way too many long twos for my liking. So he's got to improve with his jump shot. He's got to improve in the catch and shoot. And then just overall shooting is kind of going to dictate how high his ceiling really is. What's a weakness for Killian Hayes, Thiago?
Yeah, so I don't know if I agree with you. The shot perhaps is something to look at. And I know that Austin is the resident shot expert in this podcast. So I don't know if he got a chance to
say it louder for the people all the way in the back of the room, please. Thank you.
I just almost spit Tito's everywhere.
Yeah. I have to give him a shout here. He's seeing a lot of heat.
Can you say it louder?
He's getting heat from Heat fans, no pun intended, so I have to give him a shout here. So I'll leave the shot break. I don't know if you got a chance to break down a shot, but it looks a little bit weird just from watching it. For me, like when I was watching Killian Hayes, like it looked like it was beating guys that were like my English professors or my chemistry professors. So yeah, I mean, he is tremendously talented. He's a tremendous handler, but the question I have is, does the isolation game and the dribble drive game translates to the NBA, where everybody's athletic, everybody's big, everybody's quick, and if it does not, then at what point are we talking about in terms of Killian Hayes as a prospect? If he does, he's like a bona fide top 5 pick for sure in my eyes. But if there's not, are you better off taking a shot with somebody else down the line and perhaps looking at a more upside player on the top of the draft? So the competition level for me was something that stood out as perhaps not very, very strong.
Yeah. What about you, Austin?
Sometimes, a lot of times scouts will try to be like, oh, his vertical leap above the 3-point line is just too like minimal for me. Like I can't possibly draft him. And sometimes it's much more simple than that. For me, it's that he doesn't use his right hand nearly enough, and as a result, it makes him a predictable attacker. You're going to give him that. You're going to make him go right all the time. And then what is he gonna make you step up forward a little bit with a 3-point shooting? 29%. Good luck. So I mean, he has some work to do with the 3-point shot. My number is 610-776.
Ben, give him a call.
But the right hand, he's got to develop that a little bit for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm going to kind of just piggyback off of what Thiago said about his competition level. He can be an inconsistent defender. And when you watch the tape of this guy, he is blowing by guys offensively. Like, no one can keep up with this guy. How in the world do you get beat, have bad on-ball defense in that league, especially with a prospect this talented? And he can be turnover prone. He can definitely, one of his biggest knocks is 3.5 turnovers per every 36 minutes over the last 3 years. So he's got very good IQ, but he just can force some passes. So let's talk about best fits in the NBA draft. So obviously I'm going with teams here in the top 10. I don't know about you guys. And I think we're going to be probably on the same page here, but I've got the Detroit Pistons. They've clearly need to take the best player available. Detroit has the 5th best odds in this year's draft. Killian Hayes is right around there, I think. I think that would be a really good area for Killian Hayes. And he's also one of those prospects that has one of the highest ceilings in this draft. So Detroit needs a star. I think they can, allow him to go through those growing pains with the Detroit Pistons, because it's going to take him a year or two to adjust to the NBA. But the Detroit Pistons need a young floor general, and he would be a really good addition for their rebuild. What about you, Thiago?
Yeah, so I definitely had Detroit as one of the teams. The other team in the top 10 that I really like is New York. Again, the same kind of thought process you had, a high upside player. If your team like New York, just take as many shots as you can. Perhaps you hit on something big. I don't like the fit with RJ Barrett. As a matter of fact, I don't like a lot of fits with RJ Barrett, but that's not But I do love the fit with Mitchell Robinson. I think he would make Mitchell Robinson's game, skyrocket. So, yeah, I like the fit with New York a lot.
Fantastic. What about you, Austin?
Well, I don't want to go to New York because I for some reason I want him to be able to survive in the NBA, and international players just don't make it with the Knicks. So I like the idea of him in Detroit a lot, especially it's like Detroit. Cleveland, I know it isn't going to go for guards. They want more wing players, so he might be out of the question in Cleveland. And even though he's 6'5", he does act as an on-ball guard a lot more than anything else. So it's tough. I would go Detroit. If not Detroit, I think New York makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
How about Atlanta? I know they have a lot of guards and wings, but
I think they have a point guard already, don't they?
They got their point guard, but could a Trae Young and this guy kind of be a potential backcourt? Any thoughts?
I do. I think, to your point, I see his game even growing more to a 2-guard perhaps in the NBA in the future. If the shot comes around, so a high-level combo guard. And, yeah, if that happens, for sure the fit with Trae Young is really good. But I'm not sure Atlanta is interested on a player to the type of talent. They want more like defensive-oriented players to pair up with Trey. Yeah. And I'm not sure he's that guy. I don't know what Austin thinks.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You're cutting out a little bit.
He's daydreaming about the Heat.
All right. Make sure you follow my man on Twitter at that is at the Feed to Embiid. Check out my man Thiago. He is at T Scabia, and for everything jump shooting mechanics and all that, you can call Austin at 610. No, I'm just kidding. All right,
632-0975. That is 610-632-0975.
Hopefully, Markel False is watching this video.
I guarantee you, like 18 Heat fans are going to angry text the Fanatic. It's great.
All right, stay on.
Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man. Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles.